Welcome everybody, I'm Audrey, and today we're going to be talking a bit about rocket science. On today, May 30th, 2020, NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley were taken up into space on a SpaceX rocket. Now, this was a historic moment for American spaceflight because it's been 9 years since American astronauts were taken up into space on an American rocket and launched from American soil. But how do rockets launch anyway? To figure out the science behind that, we need to first go back and look at a much older law of physics called Newton's third law. Newton's third law states that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and it's a law I'm going to demonstrate using this device here, a Newton's cradle. Watch what happens if I raise and then release just a single ball. As you can see, an equal and opposite reaction is created on the other side from the action of this ball over here. Now this works no matter how many balls I drop. So I could do 2, or I could do 3. It doesn't matter the number. This law still holds true. Now it turns out that Newton's third law is actually essential to getting our rockets into space. This is the Falcon 9 rocket, and its first stage contains combustible fuel which is intentionally ignited. In other words, there's basically a controlled explosion happening in this stage of the rocket. This explosion creates hot gas that gets pushed out of the bottom of the rocket. This is the action that allows for the opposite and equal reaction of the rocket getting pushed up into the air. This push is called thrust, and it's how we get our rockets into space. So what happens after the rocket is initially launched? Well, just like we talked about, first off, the first stage pushes the rocket up into the upper atmosphere. But then once it's done its job, it simply separates and falls off from the rocket. It then rights itself and lands so that it can be used for future missions. Then the second stage takes over, propelling the rocket up into space and into its orbit around the Earth. When it's done its job, it also separates and falls off, but this one can't be reused. That finally leaves our Crew Dragon capsule, which has our astronauts in it, and this capsule alone will proceed to dock with the International Space Station. The International Space Station, or ISS, is also orbiting the Earth, and it's essentially a laboratory where astronauts from all over the world can go to live and work in space. Now, the ISS is orbiting the Earth at a crazy speed of 17,150 miles an hour. That's about 5 miles every second. So why does it have to go so fast? Well, it turns out it has to do with the fact that the ISS is constantly falling towards the Earth. Let's pretend that Benny here from the Lego movie is on the International Space Station, and that my fist on the string all the way down here is the Earth. So, if the International Space Station were just sitting still, it would fall towards the Earth, just like anything else. That's because Earth's gravity is always pulling on everything around it, including the space station when it's in orbit. But if the space station stays moving quick enough, it can go around to the Earth, staying in Earth's orbit without falling towards the center. As you can see, it's not falling towards my fist. That's why the International Space Station has to go so fast, to prevent from falling towards the Earth completely. Now, in real life, this string wouldn't actually be there. It would just be Earth's gravity. And so it's actually possible that if the space station went fast enough, it could fly out of Earth's orbit out into space. Of course, we don't want that, so we have to strike the perfect balance between not falling towards Earth and not flying out into space, which leads us to the speed of 17,150 miles an hour. Now, the space station is orbiting the Earth, so you can see it sometimes in the night sky. If you want to find out when the space station is flying over where you live, make sure you check out the link in the description below this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to go check out the rocket launch if you didn't get to see it live, and we'll see you next time.